Hi, my name's Dylan. I make music as Hearingson, and today I'm going to show you how to sample and chop a break on Ableton Move. So what I've got here is my trusty iPhone with a headphone adapter plugged into the input of Move. Actually sounds pretty good. I've got a sample loaded up in Dropbox that I'm going to play. I'm going to record that and then chop it up over the pads. You can play anything from your phone, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. But I'm just going to show a break. So in order to record, I'm going to hit the record button and I can select my line input or resampling. Resampling is for when you want to record the output of Move back into a pad, but I want to record from the line input. There's also a gain control, and I know that the gain levels are good, and I can turn monitoring on and off here. I'm going to have monitoring on because I want to hear the sample while I'm recording it. So in order to record the break, all I'm going to do is hit record like I have, and then I'm going to tap a pad, and then hit the pad again to stop. You can, for longer samples, you can hit the pads while it's recording, and each pad will have the whole sample on it, but you can have different slice points. For a really short break like this, that doesn't make so much sense, so I'm just going to duplicate the pad manually. So let's get going with it. That's kind of in the right place, but I want to get the hit right on the front of that transient. So when you're doing the length, you can't see that much detail, but if you hold shift and turn this encoder, you get a zoomed in view. You can also double click shift to lock it, which I find good for samples. So now I can go like this. And I'm going to adjust the hold parameter. I just want that dumps on that one. Duplicate the pad. Now I've got a pretty basic chop of that break. I'm going to keep going and make some more parts. Let's double click that and zoom in again. That's cool. Duplicate it again. I want to find a little hi-hatty part so I can vary the rhythm a bit more. So let's go back and see what we got here. That looks like a hi-hat. I think the thing before that is probably a snare. Yeah, so I want it to start right on that hi-hat. That hold needs to be slightly long. That doesn't sound quite right on the front there. So there we go, zoom it in a bit. That's not quite the right piece either. What do I want there? Maybe, yeah, and a bit more hold on that one. Now, when you're recording breaks and trying to sequence them, there's two ways to do it. One is that you can start with an existing tempo and use the detune and transpose to fine-tune the timing of the sample to an existing tempo. That's pretty much how all classic hip-hop or breaks or drum and bass production is done. Pitching samples in a hardware sampler to get it to play at the right speed. That's why breakbeats in drum and bass always sound high-pitched. But what I'm going to do, because on Move I can capture without a tempo, I'm just going to let the timing of the sample dictate the speed, and I'm going to play the slices and then capture a pattern, and hopefully it'll loop that as a nice piece. I'm going to clear the capture buffer by holding shift and pressing that, just so while I was messing around with the pads it doesn't think that that is something that I was trying to play. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so I'm probably not going to win any production awards for that amazing break, but that shows you how easy and quick it is to record and slice a break. Now let's improve the sound of that a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is hold each pad and just bring the volume of each slice up a bit. Yep, that's cool. The other thing I'm going to do is mess with the playback effects for each pad. So there's a few in here. Stretching does time stretching in a granular sort of hardware sampler way. Looping. There's a bunch of other ones. Pitch envelope does doo, which is good for drum samples. 8-bit, FM and ring mod all sort of mess with the sound. Sub-osc and noise are good for adding to drum sounds. But what I want to do is use the punch one, which sort of messes with the transients. I couldn't describe exactly how it works, but it sounds pretty cool. So you hear the noise in the background of the sample coming up. So we'll turn all of them onto that punch mode. Turn that one onto punch as well. Oh, you really hear it on that one with the hi-hat. Okay, cool. So I've used the punch playback effect to change the sound a little bit. And I'm also going to go in and adjust the saturator. Let's see what we can make that beat sound like with that. So we'll choose the 808 shaper preset. And then I've got my drive, my saturation type, color, and a few other controls here. Yeah, so I'm pretty easily able to make that break using the punch and the saturator, make it sound nice and gritty. I manually sliced it across the pads. If it was a longer sample, I could have recorded slices while I was recording it. I used the hold parameter for each sample just to sort of choose how much of the sample it plays. And I zoomed in on the front using the shift lock to really get those hits right on the start of each piece. That one could maybe even be adjusted slightly. That's how you slice a break on Ableton Move. Thanks.